Paula's on now. Starts right now. Paula?
Thanks, Wolf. Appreciate it. Good evening, everybody. Glad to have you with us. We're spending much of this hour in a story the whole country is talking about. I want to warn you, though, it is extremely disturbing. Not just the subject itself, but the pictures as well, as you'll see. Tonight, the star quarterback and the pit bulls. Michael Vick pleads not guilty to allegations of dogfighting. We're bringing the secret grizzly sport out in the open tonight. It is bigger than you might think and a heck of a lot more popular. Why is it spreading? And is it really being glorified in hip-hop music and culture? Right now, I want you to see an amazing piece of video. Just listen to this crowd. This is what confronted NFL star quarterback Michael Vick just a few hours ago, not in a football stadium, but at a federal courthouse in Richmond, Virginia, as he walked inside to plead not guilty to charges of arranging dogfights. Michael Vick has always attracted attention, but never like this. He has been a star player since college, a rarity among quarterbacks. He is as much of a threat running as passing. In 2001, the Atlanta Falcons made him a #1 draft pick in the National Football League. His contract is worth $130 million, with product endorsements bringing in millions more. Vick's #7 jersey is among NFL's top sellers year after year, but now it all may come crashing down. Brian Todd was in Richmond today watching the scene outside the courthouse. We heard a little bit of what was it like. You watched it all. Describe what you saw.
Paula, this atmosphere had been building since early this morning. You had a line of people behind me just lining this building trying to get in for the court proceedings. That was nothing compared to the crowd that we saw out here. Protesters started gathering early this morning. Michael Vick did have his share of supporters among them, but they were clearly a minority. We saw protesters, mostly animal rights activists, brandishing some very colorful signs. One of them saying "Neuter Vick," one of them reading "Con Vick." Two children holding up signs reading "Say it ain't so, Mike." We saw other protesters with dog and other animal outfits on, and this was all the scene here before Michael Vick got here, in the hours before he arrived. When he did arrive, that's when this crowd really ratcheted up their anger. Animal rights protesters target their rage at an NFL star as he enters a federal courthouse. Inside, Michael Vick pleads not guilty to felony charges of dogfighting and conspiracy. His 3 co-defendants do the same. Vick is stoic, shows respect to Judge Henry Hudson. Dressed in a dark suit, he says only "yes, sir" when asked if he understands the charges. Later, speaking through his attorney, Vick said he knows what he's up against.
I take these charges very seriously and look forward to clearing my good name. I respectfully ask all of you to hold your judgment until all of the facts are shown.
Vick's lawyer said with his plea, the quarterback has taken the first step toward proving his innocence. But a veteran criminal defense attorney says there's still a possibility a trial could be avoided.
He still held open, or he did not preclude the possibility that this plea could change, that Michael Vick could accept responsibility.
Still, Stephen Benjamin says most signs point to this case going to trial, set to begin November 26th. The prosecutor also said he may file additional charges against Vick and his co-defendants by the end of August. Vick's Atlanta Falcons teammates, starting training camp without him, are preparing to play with a different quarterback if necessary.
He has to go through his situation, due process right now in the courts, and hopefully he's back. But if not, we have to go on.
Michael Vick has been told by his team and the NFL to stay away from training camp for now. Another restriction imposed by the court: Vick and his co-defendants cannot leave their home districts without the court's permission. Paula?
And then I understand that there might be even more charges coming. What can you tell us about that?
The prosecutor said he intends to file what is called a superseding indictment, and most legal experts and others that we talked to here say that that means that other charges are possible. What does that mean in a broader perspective here? It could mean that this is a way to get either Vick or his co-defendants, put more pressure on them to maybe turn on other defendants.
Well, keep on watching it closely for us. Brian Todd, thanks so much for the update. So what exactly is ahead now legally? Professor Boyce Watkins teaches at Syracuse University. He is an outspoken critic on the subjects of blacks in pro sports, and with me here, defense attorney Jeffrey Steinberger. Welcome to the two of you. Jeffrey, there has been some extremely harsh criticism of Mr. Vick in the last couple of days. I want to put up on the screen a little bit of what has been said. Put this monster in a cage where he belongs, not on a football field. The executive director of People Protecting Animals and Their Habitat says humans, even star athletes who exploit and hurt the vulnerable, whether people or animals, are cowards. So whatever happened to the whole idea of innocent until proven guilty?
Paula, in this country, athletes can beat their wives, but they can't beat their dogs. Vick has got an uphill battle here. He's got an uphill battle to fight. He's got one. The NFL has already made judgment on him. He's got a suspension that all the public knows about. They're
not calling it officially a suspension. They're just saying he can't join the team.
Well, what does that mean? What does that mean if he didn't call it a suspension? Why did they suspend him? He must have done something wrong. People don't make all these little finite decisions. They figure it out and they say, you know, my gut feeling is, why would the NFL suspend him if he didn't do anything wrong?
Well, isn't that what usually happens when there's an indictment that comes down? They're
not necessarily.
Buying themselves time?
Well,
so you think he's being unfairly treated?
I think he's, first of all, being unfairly treated because he has a right to trial, and he's presumed innocent and proven guilty. Absolutely. But he's got an uphill battle for two reasons. He's got one, he's got dogs involved, and this country loves dogs. And two, he's in a physical sport, and the general public implicates that into general violence. And so, you know, they see him smashing around every Sunday, beating people up, and they think, well, this is a violent guy, you know, maybe he could be violent with dogs. And the transition just goes right over into, you know, he's part of dog fighting. This is a natural consequence.
Well, boys, I think anybody would have to acknowledge that this player is under intense scrutiny, particularly because of his celebrity. And today, the American Dog Owners Association said this: with fight purses as high as $100,000, dog fighting is a multi-million-dollar business that must not be ignored. The NFL runs the most popular sport in the United States and therefore has a responsibility to making an example out of Michael Vick.
Wow.
What's your reaction to that?
I'll tell you what. You know what? Dogfighting is a terrible crime. And I know that there are people that want to hunt him down like George Bush at an Al-Qaeda camp. But the fact is that his name is Michael Vick, not Michael Convict. And for some reason, Paula, I woke up in a country that we call America, in which there is a judicial system that is allowed to run its course and is not allowed to be terrorized by people with their own agenda. The fact is that we have to let the facts be laid out, and the heinousness of an alleged crime does not provide unconditional justification for your method of attempting to prosecute that crime. So bottom line, PETA, whoever you are, slow your damn roll a little bit, because we don't know if this guy's guilty or not.
We may not know the answer to that question, but look at what is at stake for this man. We talked about his $100 million plus contract,
yes,
and we know the endorsements could add up to tens and tens of millions of dollars, and we've already seen some of that stuff pulled. Nike dropped all their ties.
He's got a $130 million 10-year contract with the Atlanta Falcons. He's got over a $50 million contract with Nike for endorsements. He's got the rest of his life is at stake. He's got 6 years in prison, facing 6 years in jail, and $300,000 fine from the court system, plus probation, parole, plus the reputation, plus the loss of his whole family reputation. I mean, it's a horrendous thing.
Before we go any further, I need to correct something. Nike has not called has not dropped his contract. PETA is calling on Nike.
Good for them.
To pull. They're good for them?
Well,
you think that's appropriate for PETA to make that kind of push before they know whether he's guilty of this or not?
Well, no,
not before he's guilty. She's got to be proven guilty. Right. And why would Nike pull the endorsements? Nike pulls the endorsements for the time being. Michael Vick has to sit.
Hasn't happened yet.
It hasn't happened yet. That's right. He's calling for it. It hasn't happened yet. And Michael Vick has to just play this out and stay innocent and not do anything that's stupid and silly and not buy into the media press and not do any interviews and not do anything that in any way causes him to go sideways.
Boyce, you get the last word.
But Michael Vick, Michael Vick also needs a moment of clarity. He needs to understand that if he is associated with individuals who are engaged in this kind of activity, or if he's involved himself himself, he needs to realize that if he makes that kind of mistake, he can end up becoming the Mike Tyson of professional football. The fact is that every great leap you've done, every run you've made, everything, every two-a-day practice you put in could all be thrown away, and your mother could end up crying at the end of the day. So I don't know if he did this or not. I want to make that clear. And dogfighting is horrible. I want to make that clear also. But the fact is that PETA needs to back off and let the justice system do its job.
They all need to back off because he's innocent until presumed guilty. This is a celebrity brouhaha. This is a celebrity media trial, and we keep doing that to all these people, and we don't know if he's guilty yet. He still is innocent, and he's going to be presumed innocent until he gets into a court of law, and all these people who are speaking out have to be sworn in under penalty of perjury.
Well, we did not indict him tonight.
Well, thank you very much. That was good. That feels good to my defense heart.
Oh, good. Boyce Watkins, Jeffrey Steinberg. Thank you.